Honestly, what are we doing here?
I told myself the same thing. Rehab doesn't work, but...
Excuse me, Darby, phone for you.
My mom is in the hospital. I have to leave.
Darby, you know the rules. You leave and you're back in jail.
No Exit is the kind of tightly wound survival thriller that thrives on claustrophobia, moral tension, and the unsettling idea that danger can hide in plain sight. At its core, it takes a deceptively simple premise, being stranded in a snowstorm with strangers, and transforms it into a relentless psychological puzzle where every glance, every word, and every silence feels loaded with meaning. The film marks a major turning point for Havana Rose Liu, who steps into her first leading feature role with a performance that carries both vulnerability and determination, grounding the chaos unfolding around her. The story centers on Darby, a young woman already in emotional turmoil before the storm even begins. She's in transit, driven by urgency and guilt, trying to reach a family emergency that weighs heavily on her conscience. That sense of urgency is crucial. It means she's not just physically trapped when the blizzard hits, but emotionally stretched thin, making every decision feel more desperate and more consequential. When the weather closes in and forces her off the road, she finds herself at a remote highway rest stop, the kind of place that exists in a kind of liminal space, neither here nor there, temporary by design, but now transformed into a prison. Inside, she encounters a small group of strangers, each carrying their own quiet mysteries. The beauty of the setup lies in how ordinary it all seems at first. These aren't exaggerated archetypes or obvious villains. They're just people, tired, inconvenienced, waiting out a storm. But that normalcy is precisely what makes the tension work. Because when Darby steps outside and makes a horrifying discovery, a young girl locked inside a van in the parking lot, the entire situation shifts instantly from inconvenient to life-threatening. From that moment forward, the film becomes a high-stakes game of deduction and survival. One of the people inside the rest stop is responsible for the kidnapping, and Darby has to figure out who it is without revealing what she knows too soon. It's a classic closed-circle mystery, but instead of a whodunit that unfolds over time, this is a race against the clock, where a wrong move could get someone killed. The storm outside ensures that there's no easy escape, no help coming, and no way to simply walk away from the danger. Director Damien Power leans heavily into the tension of confined spaces, using the rest stop as both a literal and psychological arena. The setting becomes increasingly suffocating as the story progresses, with the howling storm outside mirroring the growing chaos inside. Power's direction emphasizes stillness as much as action. Lingering shots, uncomfortable pauses, and subtle shifts in body language all contribute to the sense that something is deeply wrong, even before the violence fully erupts. The screenplay by Andrew Barrer and Gabrielle Ferrari, adapted from No Exit by Taylor Adams, is structured to keep the audience constantly second-guessing their assumptions. Every character is given just enough ambiguity to be suspicious. Small details, an offhand comment, a nervous gesture, a too convenient explanation start to pile up, creating a web of doubt that mirrors Darby's own growing paranoia. The script understands that the most effective thrillers don't just rely on external danger, they make the audience complicit in the uncertainty. The ensemble cast plays a crucial role in maintaining that ambiguity. Danny Ramirez brings a layered presence that walks the line between trustworthy and questionable, while David Rysdahl adds a subtle unpredictability that keeps viewers on edge. Dale Dickey delivers a grounded, almost disarming performance that contrasts sharply with the escalating tension, and Dennis Haysbert lends a sense of authority that may or may not be justified. Meanwhile, young Mila Harris, though largely confined to the van, becomes the emotional core of the story, the silent reminder of what's truly at stake. What makes the film particularly compelling is how it explores the psychology of decision-making under pressure. Darby isn't a trained hero. She's an ordinary person forced into extraordinary circumstances. Every choice she makes carries risk. Does she confront someone directly? Does she try to sneak the girl out unnoticed? Does she pretend ignorance while gathering more information? The film doesn't present these as clean, logical decisions. Instead, it shows how fear, urgency, and incomplete information can lead to mistakes, and how those mistakes can escalate the situation in unpredictable ways. There's also an undercurrent of moral complexity running through the narrative. The question isn't just who was the kidnapper, but also what are you willing to do to stop them? As the situation spirals, the line between right and wrong becomes increasingly blurred. Survival instincts kick in, and characters are forced to make choices that reveal their true nature. Some rise to the occasion, while others reveal darker sides that were previously hidden beneath polite conversation. The production, guided by Scott Frank, known for his work on The Queen's Gambit, maintains a sharp focus on pacing. The film doesn't waste time with unnecessary exposition. Instead, it drops the audience into the situation quickly and lets the tension build organically. Each revelation feels earned, each twist grounded in the logic of the character's behavior rather than arbitrary shock value. Visually, the film uses the contrast between the harsh, chaotic storm outside and the confined, almost sterile interior of the rest stop to great effect. The snowstorm acts as both a physical barrier and a symbolic force, isolating the characters from the outside world and amplifying their vulnerability. The van in the parking lot becomes a focal point of dread, a constant reminder that the danger isn't just theoretical, it's immediate and tangible. Sound design also plays a critical role. The howling wind, the creak of doors, the crunch of footsteps in snow, all of it contributes to an atmosphere where every noise feels significant. Silence, too, is used strategically, creating moments where the absence of sound becomes almost unbearable, heightening the sense of anticipation. As the story progresses, the tension escalates in waves rather than a straight line. There are moments of temporary calm where it seems like Darby might be gaining control of the situation, followed by sudden bursts of violence or revelation that shatter that illusion. This ebb and flow keeps the audience engaged, constantly resetting expectations and preventing the narrative from becoming predictable. One of the most effective aspects of the film is how it handles its twists. Instead of relying on a single shocking reveal, it layers multiple smaller twists throughout the story, each one adding a new dimension to the situation. These twists don't just change what's happening, they change how we interpret what we've already seen. Characters who seemed harmless suddenly become suspect, while those who appeared threatening may reveal unexpected depths. At its heart, though, No Exit is a story about resilience and resourcefulness. Darby's journey isn't just about surviving the night, it's about confronting her own fears and limitations. She's forced to think quickly, adapt to changing circumstances, and find strength she didn't know she had. That character arc gives the film an emotional anchor, ensuring that the tension isn't just intellectual, but deeply personal. The film also taps into a broader fear, the idea that danger can be hidden within ordinary situations. A rest stop, a group of strangers, a snowstorm, none of these are inherently threatening on their own. But combined, they create a scenario where trust becomes a liability and isolation becomes deadly. It's a reminder of how quickly normalcy can unravel and how unprepared most people are for that kind of shift. There's a rawness to the film's violence as well. It's not stylized or glorified. It's messy, chaotic, and often uncomfortable to watch. This approach reinforces the stakes, making it clear that this isn't a game. Actions have consequences, and those consequences are often brutal. As the narrative moves toward its climax, the pace intensifies, with the lines between hunter and hunted becoming increasingly blurred. Power structures shift, alliances form and break, and the true nature of each character is laid bare. The confined setting ensures that there's no room to hide, physically or emotionally. By the time the story reaches its resolution, the audience has been taken through a gauntlet of tension, uncertainty, and moral complexity. The film doesn't rely on a neat or overly convenient ending. Instead, it delivers a conclusion that feels consistent with the harsh reality it has built. A world where survival often comes at a cost, and where the line between hero and victim can be perilously thin. In the end, what makes No Exit stand out isn't just its premise, but its execution. It understands the mechanics of suspense and uses them with precision, creating a film that is as intellectually engaging as it is emotionally gripping. It's a reminder that sometimes the most effective thrillers don't need elaborate setups or sprawling narratives. They just need a strong concept, well-drawn characters, and the willingness to push them to their limits. And through it all, Havana Rose Liu delivers a performance that anchors the chaos, ensuring that no matter how intense the situation becomes, there's always a human core at the center of the story. That balance between spectacle and character is what ultimately gives the film its staying power, making it not just a tense viewing experience, but a memorable one as well.